Hi, everybody. Aloha and welcome to a podcast between 3DNA Dental and Dreve, one of the companies that we supply with equipment and resins and all kinds of materials for in-office aligners and a lot more. I want to introduce David and Robert from Dreve, and if you guys want to give quick intros, David, maybe you can start with an intro for yourself, and then Robert, we can hear from you after that.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, Mike. My name is
Absolutely.
David Bockhorn. I am sales director for Dreve and the Dreve Company Group. I'm based in Germany and I'm working now for Dreve since 7 years, took over 2 years the sales lead. And yeah, I'm happy to have this conversation with you.
Great.
And yeah, thanks, Mike. My name is Robert, and I'm the general manager of Dreve America. Been doing this for just over about coming up on a year and a half, and I've been with Dreve for 7 years, same as David. Started in R&D and now doing the operations and sales, more sales focused things.
Awesome. But we're going to want to get into some nerdy stuff with the R&D side then for sure.
Maybe.
So yeah, I think we were kind of talking a little bit before we started recording, and I think one thing that comes up a lot is just like how in the market right now it's really difficult to, as a buyer for sure, as a clinician or any type of a buyer, to distinguish exactly the differences between all the options out there these days. And then fundamentally what that comes down to is how does Dreve position themselves and the kind of the target market that you guys are after, and what your focus is for, especially for like 3D printing, I guess, and then also what goes along with that in terms of digital workflows. Sorry,
David,
either of you take that. But
Dave,
yeah,
do you want to take the lead?
Whichever he thinks is more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to coordinate a little bit that we start and get the right answers here. So for us, since we are a family and very old company with a lot of history, we have to let's say innovate ourselves again. So this means we started 77 years actually now ago in the dental market. And for us, everything was at the beginning about silicons, dental applications. Means how can we benefit this market with units, with spare parts, with everything what is, let's say, manual and handcrafted. During the years, we, I would say, kind of early, we identified that 3D printing can be a future. So we started over 20 years ago with 3D printing, developed 3D printing materials, and we see that especially the last, I would say, 4 years, there's a huge innovation or innovations are coming into the market. So I think we will deep dive there a little bit in the conversation, but different kinds of printing technologies, new material properties where we in the past not really thought this is possible. In general, when we have talking about possibilities for the dentist, they have now the possibility to say, I can do whatever I want in my clinic, in my office, however, or I have the possibility to or to use someone else and to outsource all the things. And I think it's quite a interesting time and yeah, for us also, because the market has a lot of changes at the moment, since especially the last 2 years, we see a lot of companies who are approaching the market, who are leaving the market, and it's a rough time, but also a very exciting time.
Yeah, and I just would add, I don't think we necessarily have like a targeted end customer, like David said, whether it's like individual practices or labs, it doesn't really matter. We're just trying to bring, high quality, safe, reliable, German engineered products to the market that people can, rely on and use to get to their end application, whatever it is, and whether they're doing it chairside or they're, as David said, or, outsourcing it from a lab.
Sure. And so yeah, it's like in one of the things that's going to become clear, but like you guys do target having not only like being involved in this industry or in the 3D printing side in a really quality way, but also, you know, the concept of having it as almost a really complete workflow, as opposed to something where like people buy this part of the product here and that and this part of the product there and have to sort of learn about it a lot, become expert on their own to piece it all together. And obviously that's a huge focus for for our company as well, in terms of, you know, complete digital workflows, as opposed to, you know, just those 3D printers sitting in the corner collecting dust, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think as far as like piecing together workflows, I mean, people are going to use what they want to use, right? But at the end of the day, we offer the validated workflow so that, you know, if you do use our whole system, you're going to get guaranteed biocompatibility, which is backed by, you know, Dreve as a company, and you're going to get the, you know, guaranteed end results you're looking for. So whatever we put on a TDS or SDS, that's what you're getting if you use our workflow, you know, our validated.
And making it like copy paste for people. There's some people, clinicians, who are real nerdy and they want to go for it. By all means, you know, do the hacker version, or, you know, not hacker, but like, you know, high value, low cost kind of way of introducing it. But for people who really just want to be able to implement and make and sort of, you know, adopt, make it profitable, all that really quickly, I think things like what you guys have going on make a lot of sense. So in terms of your location, like we don't have to go into deep detail here, but like you have a presence in Minnesota, I'm reading, and that's your corporate headquarters for the US, is that right? And is that where you guys not manufacture, but ship everything out of, do repairs, support from, or?
You're right. You're right.
Nailed it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Our US headquarters is in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and we do full operations out here. So we have warehousing, distribution, sales, our equipment repair center, resin production, and technical support. We have a small application engineering team where we'll host trainings or do virtual trainings, as well as we can help, you know, troubleshooting with lot issues and stuff like that.
Sure.
This is something like 3 years ago. We made the decision that we not only want to manufacture all the materials out of Germany, we also implemented this in America and started end of last year, beginning of this year with the production. So this means that the product we are offering, mainly the resins, are produced, or the 3D resins are produced in Minneapolis as well. And we have, and this was like kind of a strategic decision behind this, that we always have a backup. Means we have the German production, we have the American production, and if anything appears, we always can reach out to the other facility.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, and of course, like that's one of the big concerns, any clinic or even, of course, lab, even more so, I guess, in some sense. But, you know, you want that guarantee that if you're adopting something, not only do you have, I mean, I feel like this is really applicable to our clients on the clinical side, where there's sort of a need for a hybrid model, right? As much as we want to take it in-house, you also need to have the possibility of outsourcing as needed, right? So I'm sure it's similar, you know, having that kind of feeling of a good foundation. As we move forward here, like, so you guys, the PhotoDent ecosystem, it's you know, I guess some type of partnership formed, or kind of maybe tell us a little bit about the partnership with Frozen and how that happened, and maybe a little bit about where that equipment's designed, manufactured, and how you sort of came to trust it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a story. So for us, it's always what we are looking and seeking is to see what are the new innovations in the market and how can we challenge the market to be better. So 2021, we decided first time for Dreve, we producing, like I said, since 20 years materials, and we offer these materials to all, and still offer all these materials to all platforms, means all printer platforms we can validate the materials on. But 2021, we saw that there is like a new development in the market, and this is the LCD technology. What was at this time not so popular than it is right now. We made like a comparison and so looked at the results of the LCD technology, and were also, I have to say, very surprised that it is very accurate, it is very reliable. There are some concerns in the beginning, but all these concerns during the tests and everything were satisfying and satisfied. So there were, after all, no concerns anymore, and this was where we decided to also go with the LCD partner. And this partner turned out to be Frozen, because our experience with Frozen is good. The first printer we decided to take into our portfolio was not, I have to say, meant to be for the dental industry. It was more for the consumer market. We were aware of this, and this was the reason why we said, okay, we cannot just take this printer, we have to modify it. So we used a different slicer, we modified hardware parts inside, validated the material on it, etc. So it was a long development, but we made it. And during this experience, the partnership with Frozen Grow ends up in products we developed together. For example, the photo wash, where we put together a lot of knowledge in that it works fine and reliable. And on the other side, we said, okay, the printer we took, so the Sonic XL, is not meant for the dental market, but it is a good printer. So how can we make this printer even better? And this is how we developed together the CS Plus and LS Plus, that we can really give the industry industrial dental printer what it's also meant for this.
That's great. Well, let's get a little nerdier on this, because like, in terms of, so I guess some of the challenges that LCD systems have had in the past is, my understanding that they were mostly stuck at 405 only and couldn't really do 385 when it was LCD only. Now MSLA has kind of changed that a little bit, right? So is that, and then also, of course, the heating issue, right, where LCDs get too hot, right, and that sort of affects longevity, right? So can you kind of give us a little more detail on, or either, I mean, it could be that this isn't, feel free to just pass on this question, but at least on those two technical specifications, how do you address that with your printer? And also anything else on the technical side that you're like, how like Asigo talk about their I think it's called SDS, but the leveling system that it's constantly checking to see if it's level and all that kind of stuff. I think they've done well with that, although I think a lot of people have moved into a place where just having better screws takes that away from being needed as much. But yeah, so a little, sorry, rambling a little on the tech stuff, but mainly the heating issue, and then also the 385 and maybe light intensity. How do you get enough light intensity without putting too much heat through that LCD?
I'll let David handle the heating issue, but as far as the 385 and LCD goes, we feel pretty good about it, and we're quite excited about it, because you're kind of taking the best of both worlds, right? You're taking the 385 from like what DLP technology is, and then you're taking the resolution from LCD technology. And so what it allows you to do is print materials fast with high accuracy, high resolution. It allows you to print crystal clear materials, where a lot of the clear resins on 405 systems are heavily pigmented, with blue pigment to knock out the yellowing from the photo initiator system. And so it's just a cool technology that I think Frozen has done a good job finding a way to, like I said, leverage the best of both worlds to create this new system now that kind of lets you do everything you need to do. And you can print at 50 microns if you want, but I don't think you need to anymore. You can print at 100 and get the resolution you're looking for, because of the 8K of resolution that comes with the CS Plus.
Yeah, like native pixel is like 22 microns, right? Or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
So and then so the LCD itself is 385 then.
Yes,
it's not
exactly.
It's not MSLA. It's not backlit with the masking. It's like the LCD itself is generating the light.
I'm sorry. What do you? So it's a cob light, right? That has 385, and then you're using the LCD screen to mask the light that's coming through it.
Okay. So I gotcha. So it is pretty much it's kind of an MSLA product in some sense, right? Where it's like masking the.
I guess yes, technically. Yeah. I mean, it's not. You're not using a LED array anymore with a LCD screen, but
sure.
Yeah.
And is that answer the heat question as well then, or?
So for the heating, what we can say, and there are two things. And the heating, honestly speaking, we never got this as a concern, and we never had this concern. One concern we had was always what's about the lifetime of the LCD panels, because there are a lot of rumors that they will be or have to be exchanged very quick. What we can say, and I have also very open speaking, we are still running lifetime tests on it, and I'm saying this because they are the lifetime is so long
You
that
can't break it.
we're not really experiencing at the moment failures, and we got a lot of experience with the previous version. Now with like 5 years experience in the market and with the LCD technology and heavily deep dive there, the heating issue, I would not call it an issue, because what we identify is that heat in general is beneficial for the materials, for example. So this
Definitely.
means what we are using there is for a lot of materials, we are using wet heating, or in general a heater for the chamber to speed up the printing times. So even if there is created some heat, that's not a problem or not an issue, not at all.
Yeah, like you said, it's a
And
good thing for viscosity, right?
exactly, and that's the thing in general. You asked this: where are these printers manufactured, and how deep is this connection with frozen? So I would say it's pretty deep, because we started this year also with the production in Germany. Means we're producing 100% the printers in Germany, and we want to extend this also to the US. But this,
Yeah.
it's tough to give their time schedule. But if I have to give one, I would say beginning of next year is a proper date to say these printers are also made in the US.
That's amazing. I can't wait, because or I don't know how important it ought to be, but I think a lot of people care that if something is made in the US, it just feels more easily supported and guaranteed. So I don't know that, honestly, I don't know that you might be like the only company. Well, not quite. I know a couple of smaller companies, but there's very few companies making 3D printers in the United States. So that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And it's
Especially with everything going on in the world right now.
Totally.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
something
that's
what we identify also. It's always the supply chain, right? So maybe 10 years, 15 years ago, you not really cared about this because everything was secured. Now there's a lot going on, so for us it makes sense to produce near the customer, and for us the US is a main focus. So that also means it makes sense to produce more and more from our portfolio in the US. We started with the resins. Next step is the units, and then we will see if the silicons make sense or makes not sense.
yeah.
But this is
Yeah.
also under consideration.
That is so cool. I'm really glad that came up. I probably wouldn't have asked, so, because I wouldn't have thought that was even likely at all. And I don't see it in the rest of my thing. So just out of curiosity, back just so that we understand sort of the light intensity capacity of this printer, what's the like approximate time that it takes to say print a model horizontally? Is it
a horseshoe model? It depends a little bit on like, Z height and stuff like that, but we're averaging like 24 minutes right now for a horizontal horseshoe model.
Okay. And then what other, like, for example, like in terms of tooth resins, what's the like highest nanoceramic filled resin you have that you can print on your printer, and about how long would you say it takes for a crown?
We do not have a highly filled tooth resin yet. It's something we're working on, but I do know that Dr. Rick Ferguson, are you familiar with that name? Yeah. I figured you would be. I just want to make sure.
No, he's awesome.
We sent him a printer, and he did a full arch restoration using I don't remember which material.
Rodent Titan.
It was a rodent material. I just don't remember which one. I think he said it took him 28 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I imagine that That's very interesting. It's odd to me that that a model would be, because generally speaking, models are so much faster to print, you know, because it's so much less viscosity and like more transference, I guess.
Mhm.
So maybe, yeah, that'd be interesting. I guess maybe your model resin could be, could we talk, or is there specifics around your model resin being formulated in a way for accuracy in terms of thermoforming and not so
Yeah.
much? Because I feel like there's in the market, it's like, again, another way to differentiate is like, what's more important, to print your models fast or to end up with extremely accurate thermoform, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like people of course want both, but there's some of the model resins out there are just so fast to print. And I feel like it's totally focused on the fast as opposed to the outcome.
Yeah, I agree. So in general, and Robert is there as a chemist, so he can answer this better. But Robert, try to give an answer to this. So I think like you said, you have a lot of properties you want to achieve, but not everything is possible. What we with our resin created is a fit for all resin. So we have a very, very high accurate material. We have material what is stable after printing, means the shrinkage of the application is going more or less to zero, so you have a long time without any shrinkage. The pigments are very stable, so you don't have to shake it every time or to roll the material or whatever. Storage life is quite long. You can print every application a model needs: removable dies, horseshoes, full arc, everything you want, and it's specifically made also for everything. But you are right. If I really want to have a very, very quick model or fast printed model, this is possible. But most of the time, you have a huge shrinkage after that. So
Right.
that's not a bad thing if you really use this model directly, but if you use it after 1 or 2 days, then you can have a huge shrinkage, and this will have a result on your final work and your solution. So
Right.
I would always say you have to find your material. What I can say for ours, if you use it, I can make sure that your application, your solution will be perfect.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think that very well explains it. You know, we are looking at making a new model resin that will zip, right? So you can have one for your removable dies and some more of your high accuracy stuff, and then a water washable version that's gonna.
I was gonna ask about that. Yes.
Yeah, a water washable version that will be more for churn and burn kind of applications.
But like you said, making sure people understand that like timing then matters, right? Like you need to thermoform within blank period before, if there's shrinkage issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Well, this is great. So, I mean, one of the things that I've known about you guys forever, first of all, two things like that I've always had in my mind as standing out with Dreve is your PCU, right? Your curing unit being pretty much like up there with the NK Auto Flash in terms of light intensity and delivery of as much of that irradiation as we can. And then your thermoforming unit, I think the BioStar just got a head start, and there's like huge companies that have exclusives with the BioStar. But from my perspective, I think that your technical specs are even better than the BioStar. It's a slightly better price and a kind of more modern looking and feeling than the BioStar. So yeah.
Yes, I mean, I guess like regarding the PCLED, so that unit has been around for quite some time. I couldn't even tell you the year we launched it. It's been longer than I've been at Dreve, but for a very long time.
7 years.
for a very long time, that was the standard. I would say.
You say?
It's first time was 2015.
Okay.
And the real let's say launch was in like 2017 ish.
Okay. So about a decade, a little over a decade now, but it's been the industry standard for LED curing, I would say, for a long time, right? I mean, people kind of have their preference whether they have the auto flash or the PCLED, but you can find the PCLED in some of the biggest labs in the world, all the way down to individual practices, right?
For sure.
It's kind of a user preference, I think, at that point. But I think post-curing units are something that Dreve as a company does really well. We have a lot of know-how and we have a lot of expertise in it. I think that's reflected in our new generation of curing units coming out, the Vario units, with the big one for the 160 and the Vario 40 for labs as well as chairside applications. But
oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you knew that. I didn't know that, so that's great.
Yeah. And we put,
pure volume is always the problem, right?
Yeah, we put a lot of time and effort into it because, as David likes to say, it's like cooking, right? So if you have a cookie and you put it in the oven and you don't cook it enough, it's undercooked and you get sick, right? But if you put it in the oven for too long, it's burnt and it's not really a cookie anymore. So having a high quality device, we like to say that the curing unit is the most important part of the whole process, because without it, you're not even getting a medical device at the end of the day, right? There's a lot of ways to make your application. You can pour it or you can print it. You can do some various other things, or a combination of hybrid, but if you want to, at the end of the day, if you want to have a usable medical device, you have to post cure it. And so,
absolutely,
we make their metal housing, super durable, long lifetime, bunch of stuff like that. And I think that's what has led at least the PC-LED to being an industry standard for so long.
Yeah, and for the new device, I have to say, it's a little bit like Christmas. So I think we all have like a Christmas list and Christmas wishes on our list. And after Christmas, we see, okay, what do we got and what not. And this device or the new device, the Vario 40, for example, this is something where I can check every box in. So you have a machine what has very, very fast queuing times. So means you are for sure, depends on the material, between 30 and 5 minutes maximum. So you can really save a lot of time there. You have a high intensity. You have the possibility to get better biocom results. You have a photo duo effect. So photo duo effect means when you have to print transparent applications like night guards or whatever you print, and after printing it gets yellowish. The curing unit will completely remove this. So doesn't matter if you have a yellow application or yellow printed application. After the curing, it will completely disappear directly. So you don't need to wait. You don't need to whatever. You just have your result.
You're getting that. Have you tried that with like multiple outside resins, or specifically your resin formulations because of your photo initiator system?
Yes and no. So means like we tested it with several materials, not only ours, also different others, but for sure not all on the market because there were so many materials on the market. But we also, what we did is we overcooked, let's say like this material. So means it was completely yellow afterwards. Then we put it again, or we put it in the Vario 40. And after that, it was crystal clear again. So even when you have like yellowed, already cured applications, you can you can make it transparent again.
To clarify though, this is part of the curing unit. In other words, it's a type of light source that's causing this. That's like fixing the yellowing. I'm just saying it's not like a clean. Okay, interesting.
Exactly. So what we are using is quite of a wide range of wavelengths and a combination out of it. So the machine has the possibility to also like make has kind of a pulse effect, what also means you can lower and have lower and higher intensity during this process, and we can also individually operate all the different wavelengths what are in the unit.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So like right now,
for the people that like to tinker.
Well, this is amazing. Well, I mean, obviously, and not to mention, just hopefully, like, give us the ability to receive the best possible mechanical properties, which is going to be very important moving into where I believe that depending on how things go. But like, if we look at what's happened in the last 4 years, let alone 2 years, if we're not 3D printing final restoration crowns in the next like 2 to 4 years, I'd be surprised, you know? And in order to get there, I think your type of what you guys are talking about is going to help a lot, especially.
And when you partner, you know, when you partner this cure unit with one of these, you know, like the CS Plus or any of these other printers that are, you know, printing rather quickly, you know, Ferguson printed a full arch in 28 minutes. I don't know how long it took him to wash it, but now you're curing in less than 5. You're curing in less than 5. You're
with Rodin, you can't wash it. You have to use a toothbrush. It's actually just
so I don't know how long he sat there and, you know, crushed it for, but
no, that's so cool. I think this is so cool.
You're looking at like a less than 45-minute complete workflow
for a full arch. I mean, dude, it's so
same day, same visit. You know, restoration is very possible now.
If you have the right workflow, that's immediate load. It's really cool.
And then, you know, this whole workflow will be open, just like the PCO LED is. You know, it always takes time to, you know, get that many resins validated on there and get profiles.
I was going to ask, like, which are you? So with Rodin Titan, is it validated? Is already like a resin profile for your printer as well as for the curing unit?
Yes, you can go to the Frozen website and take any profile from their website you want and put it on.
Okay, so it's Frozen is doing the validating on that. Interesting. Okay. Cool. The next section I was going to ask about is around thermoforming. I don't know. I think we still have about 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. We got time. We can hammer through it.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, so we print them up and we're really happy with the dimensional accuracy. We're not worried about shrinkage with our current model formulation. And then hopefully in the future we have water washable, which maybe we do care, but at least then we have a way cleaner and awesome workflow. Okay. So we're all caught up. And now we're moving on to the next step, right? So we're cured, and now we're moving into our pressure former. So tell us a bit more about your thermoformer and why people can trust it, as well as your materials, and what maybe if there's any movement on your foil side.
Yeah. So the Drufomat is, like, I would say, the pinnacle of what German engineering is. The unit, the make of the Drufomat has been around for over 30 years, and we get people who return, like, shipping their unit for its first ever repair after 20 plus years, and, you know, we're like, we don't even carry this part anymore, you know. So it just shows you how it's such a high quality, well built machine. And so now where we're at is, you know, the I would say our best selling unit's the Drufomat Scan, and so that's going to be you know, same pressure forming operation, same footprint is what people are used to, but now you have a barcode scanner on there, which just streamlines the workflow, reduces error, stuff like that. We still always recommend double checking after you scan it that the recipe that pulls up matches what the box says, right? But at the end of the day, it's streamlines it, prevents errors, and that's another one that's completely open. It's compatible with circular sheets or square sheets. You can do 120 or 125. Some of our units come with some of our competitor plastics already. The recipe's already built into the machine, so it's freely programmable. And if you want to run a different plastic, you can as well. Super user friendly. It's only, you know, a couple steps. Dual hand operation is a safety feature, so you're not getting your finger stuck, you know, in the chamber when it drops down. And then what we like, you know, I don't know how many people know this, but since it's a positive pressure machine, you're going to get a more accurate fit because you can reach a higher positive pressure than you can using vacuum, right? Or a cheap than vacuum.
It's that's why it's in the same realm as Biostar, right?
Yep.
But you guys actually have a higher total PSI potential, is from what I've read, right?
And compared to the Biostar, main things are smaller footprint, lower power consumption, and the distance between the sheet when it's heated and the model is less, right? So you're gonna have a shorter travel time of the plastic going down.
The process with it, is the heating done where you have to physically move something, or is it automatic?
Yeah, on our unit. Yeah. So you have to move the heating element, but that's part of the dual hand operation to prevent your fingers from getting stuck in the chamber when it drops down. So it's actually a built-in safety chamber. But the difference is the Biostar flips that sheet of plastic, right, which can cause issues with the thermoforming process, movement of the sheet, whatever. Where the Drufomat, it just drops straight down. So you're moving the
Yeah.
heating element, but the plastic itself isn't moving.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
People love the unit.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really good piece of equipment.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, in terms of settings, like obviously it's super customizable, like you said, and kind of, there's a lot to play between which model resin you're using and which foil you're using in terms of all those settings.
You
Right?
can use whatever. I mean, we would love it if you used our workflow. You don't have to use a single thing of ours. You can use whatever to get to your model, and then you can put the model in the Drufomat.
But using your guys' stuff basically guarantees you that outcome, like you said, right? Because you guys have done so much perfecting of that. Beautiful.
So that's what you said. If you are in the workflow, then you are 100% protected, and we guarantee if you follow the steps we provide you, then you will have in the end a medical grade product, and no doubt that it will achieve that.
Sure. What's your throughput approximately? So like about how long would it take for somebody to thermoform one model, for example? And also, do you have a unit that has multiple, or is it just one at a time? I know the one is one at a time, right?
Just one at a time, at least for sale. At least for sale in the U.S., just one at a time.
Is that a teaser?
No. We have a bigger unit, but it's only available in Europe. The throughput, it depends on the material you use and the thickness of that material, right? So thicker materials and harder materials are going to take more heating time and cooling time than thinner materials and softer materials. So you're looking at anywhere, I would say, from like 3 minutes of heating and cooling time up to probably closer to 10, depending on the material you're using.
Okay.
Like a really thin sheet, you might have like 1.5 minutes heating and 1.5 minutes cooling.
Sure. And that's like basically the scale between aligners to like almost like sport cars or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or combi plast, like the dual laminate. Those sheets can get kind of thick with having the dual material on there. So I think we go up to 4 millimeter, which is quite a lot of material.
And then do you have any products or support around the trimming aspect of this, or is it manual trim? Or what, obviously there's
it's manual trim, but we sell the foil scissors, which people really like for cutting it out. We sell a bunch of the different Dremel tools and ball tips that you need for further cutting or polishing or grinding, whatever you want to do to your final application.
Cool. And then obviously we sell the LAC as well as some milling units to allow for that trimming aspect, and of course everything to do with what you guys are doing is compatible with that.
You're talking about like an automated trimming unit?
Yeah, we have. So like, obviously like part of what we haven't talked about with this workflow in terms of adopting it in a digital sense for a clinic or a lab is like, you have to have the plan and then the plan, if, the planning side, it sounds like not probably part of your guys' focus, which makes sense, right? That's a kind of a whole different industry. But in nowadays with a lot of the planning services, the trim line is generated inside the plan, and then a PTS file is exported. So we can use either like the laser aligner cutter with the LAC it's also a German product from some dental manufacturing unit. That's kind of the best in some sense in terms of the speed, and also the finish work. Like once it's finished, it's just completely done. There is the negative that you have to pull it off the model. You the model has to be pulled out. The foil has to get pulled off the model in order to do it. But there's also the CNC versions. But
how long are you waiting to pull it off the model? Are you doing it right away? Yeah.
I think.
Sorry.
I think that would be indicated partly by you guys in terms of the thermoforming process, and then partly by is there a difference in terms of how long you wait for, depending on if the foil has the protection covers on it and all that kind of stuff. So for the most part, I don't remember too many indications around the LAC specifically saying how long you can wait. You know what I mean? I think I would think if anything, you'd want to wait longer, not less long.
Yeah.
So that you're so you're not pulling it off when it's still hot or something. Yeah.
Changing the thermoforming shape. Yeah.
But so your throughput could get pretty, very competitive with other versions.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is, what the Dreve workflow plus the Drufomat allows you to do now is to bring thermoforming chairside. Yeah. Right. So you're not outsourcing it anymore. And I don't know. I don't want to say people don't realize that. I don't know if it's because they don't want to, or maybe they don't realize it. I don't know. Or they don't know that we offer, you know, the entire workflow where like they might be running, you know, I don't know, sprint rate or whatever, and printing all this stuff, and then they're thermoforming using Drufomat. You know, I have no idea, but I think it's a very cool application that is, I don't want to say underutilized, but maybe doesn't have, maybe it's forgotten about a little bit, or doesn't have the attention that it should.
I think a lot of people kind of got their feet wet with it, and then it was just like not ready yet. It hadn't been fully cooked a few years back, where like the workflow is still really piecemeal and just a lot more time involved than maybe they got sold on. So I think that, and then that sort of like spread in terms of a reputation around that in-house thermal or whatever in-house, especially if you're doing aligners, right? But yeah, no, I think
I think it has changed a little bit. So in the past, when you created a model, it was a lot of work just to create a model.
Exactly.
So nowadays you just print it. So for me, it makes sense in the past to not do it maybe, and to outsource it to someone who's doing this. And it still makes sense, I have to say. Depends always on your daily work, on your experience and everything. But it can also make sense that you say I import or insource it again. So I have a very, very fast turnaround time. I have everything in house. I can achieve like maybe not a same day, depends on your structure. You can also do it same day, but in a very, very short term. So you can give a benefit to your customer or patient. Everything is under your control. So you can make sure 100% the result is good. And for me personally, I'm like a guy, I like to have the control over it, and to make sure that what I gave to or give to a patient is perfect and will help and solve the issue we have. So I like to do it, and also I like to have or to provide this solution. I was listening to you because about the auto cutting and the. I saw one client of us. He built his own like production line, so he had a lot of Drufomats. He had kind of a robot arm who is running these, and like you said, then he had a device who can auto cut the foils and out of the model, and it was kind of impressing. And this just shows how, or I like this to how much engineering you can put in these. And also, even if you are not a big, massive manufacturer, these times, and this is what I said, we are living in these exciting times. You have now a lot of experience, a lot of opportunities, and you have to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think like we haven't even gotten to where humanoid robots can just run your lab for you yet, but I mean, it's a pretty attractive like test case even for the people in that line of work. Like I think they'll be really interested to work with us because it's a very controlled environment. It's very repeatable from the FDA perspective. If you're like having that type of quality control from a distance, now contract manufacturing could be much more comfortable for liability purposes. So we're moving into some very exciting times, and I think even a hacker nowadays, just somebody who wants to sit down over the weekend and play with Claude code, can design like insane software to create like their own automated little lab, right? So very, very exciting times. And it's cool to see a company that is obviously has a huge history, obviously cares a lot about quality, and moving towards something where they're thinking a little bit more from either the lab or the clinic's perspective, right? Because I think that's in terms of your sales on the foil side or whatever, the plastic side, what would you say because like, I don't know, in terms of, we're moving towards the end of our podcast where we're talking about value add, like what is the biggest attractor for the clinician or the lab? And I feel like obviously aligners sort of seem obvious in terms of just the throughput. You're going to do a lot of plastic on that. But I also think like from a smaller clinic perspective, who doesn't, if you're doing huge number of cases, bringing in the lab work is also pretty daunting. But with a smaller throughput, things like retainers, for example, like we talked about, sport guards, those types of things can have a huge value, or even night guards, depending on how you're doing that. I don't know if you're thermoforming night guards, but those things can add a huge value and not need a lot. You don't need to do many of them. So it could be more, more attractive in some sense. What would you guys say about that in terms of, your plastic sales and how you see clinicians really benefiting the most in terms of their ROI?
I mean, like you said, I do think that aligners are, especially doing like a full case is definitely more work. But
Yeah.
I mean, the cost savings you have, it's like this whole workflow, including materials, could do, we'll say 10 cases is just, it's like around $20,000, right? And that includes everything. One aligner case, you know, depending on how many weeks you need to go and stuff like that, you're looking at like around $2,000. So 10 cases pays for your workflow, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, you're just running material. So I think from like a cost saving standpoint, I think it's going to be hard to beat doing aligner cases. I know there's more labor involved and stuff, but from just a material standpoint and equipment standpoint, I think there's a ton of cost savings there. But then, as you said, the ability to do one-time use things and not having to outsource that, like doing a single retainer or doing a sports guard, even a night guard for like a heavy bruxer or a dual laminate combi-plast material is great. And those are just kind of a one and done thing. So your material cost is going to be super low. You're for sure under $10. It depends on some variables such as like thickness of the material, but you're for sure under $10. And then, your working time is, 24 minutes to print a model, say 5 to 10 to thermoform, some washing, some curing. You're under an hour of working time to get, a custom made orthodontic device out the door, right? So I think there's a lot of cost savings to be had there as well, from maybe not, for sure from the material side, but especially from like your time value.
Sure. And I think like shipping, like with aligners, especially the time between when you order them and when you get them is a huge issue, especially for just case acceptance and everything. And if somebody gets their, their dog chews their aligner or something like that, as a clinician who has this in-house, has this possibility to really, directly repair the situation, right?
Yep. And then, going back to what David said too, is like, you get to implement your quality, and that could mean a lot of things. Like your quality could be worse than outsourcing it, but at the end of the day, like, it's your quality, it's what you're satisfied with as a practitioner. Now, 99% of the time it's probably not going to be the case, right? It's going to be nicer, but it allows you to do what you feel is right for you and your customers.
Yeah, full control, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking through this now. So you said, so it's about 20,000 is their all-in cost for like the printer all the way to the thermoforming and the curing unit?
Yeah, it's like 28,000, but I don't even know, I wrote it down. It's like $20,300 gets you all the equipment and all the materials to do 10 aligner cases of 25 aligners.
Nice. Sorry,
Yeah.
One more time. 28 you said, or 20?
20,300 and some change.
Nice.
Allows you to do 10 cases of 25 aligners per case.
And that, I know this sounds nitpicky, but is that 25 total or 25 up or 25 lower?
25 total.
Okay.
I apologize, Mike. I gotta hop off. I'm sorry.
No problem.
But
all good. I know you had a meeting.
Conversation. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. This was great. It was very nice talking to you.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Yeah, the only we're pretty much finishing up, and I want to move towards talking maybe about your guys' long-term vision and where you're moving towards. But one thing I'm just thinking about is you guys are one of the few companies, I think, that have a focus. Obviously, like your ecosystem allows for the 3D printing side being pretty much like, typical in these days of like, this printer can do these 10 things that a lot of people have heard of, right? But not only that, but it's also the thing that's focused on doing the thermoforming workflow as well. So it's nice to have sort of both options in one place with all the support needed and ecosystem wise. It might be one of the things that kind of makes you guys unique, right?
Exactly. It's when it comes to the production, and this is where we can really benefit from, is like, I always like to say we have like 3 heads. One head is we are selling units, we are selling resins, and we are selling silicons. So we have a huge experience in all of it, have everything under one roof. So we also know what effect or what is needed in what section. And like you said, this is for us a very very good situation where we can provide everything to a customer, and this is also something what sometimes makes it hard, especially for sales, because we see a lot of new innovations in the market. And for us, is it like we are not doing materials or not doing things because everyone else is doing it. It takes sometimes more time, but I think we are very known in the market for the quality, what you said. And this is when we launch a new material, we launch a new unit or whatever, then it has a very high quality and the customer can be assured that it's working.
Absolutely. Yeah. Copy paste success. That's what we want, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then so just moving. So it sounds like you have a couple cool new products coming out around the curing side, which I think is very exciting. So as soon as we can learn more about that, we would love to help you guys disseminate that that information. And then from what I've read, a lab day actually in Chicago in March. I'm pretty good friends with Brian Binney, who I think is consulting with you. And and of course I'm good friends with the guys over at Rodin. And I understand that you guys are going to be working on a direct print aligner for a big company. Is that right?
That's right. And there was at the lab day also the publishing about this. And what I can say to not saying too much is that you can be very, very excited what is coming.
Yeah.
And I think this is something what also the industry will change. And when we talk about innovations, that's also for me a really new innovation, and it will be a big one.
Yeah, I know, or hopefully you know, but certainly our clients tend to know that we have a huge focus on direct print aligners. We've been involved in Graphy, we've been involved in Lux Creo. We're huge fans of Lux Creo. And you know, I'd be interested, like, can you tell us if your current printer system is likely to be able to print the direct print aligners? Are you not allowed to say?
No.
Okay. I could see that being a factor for people to like, should I pull the trigger? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So, how I can phrase it in general is that the material is for sure made to solve different kinds of, or to solve the actual printing solutions.
Okay. Okay.
Or provide.
Well, I don't want to put you in a spot, but I guess otherwise, if you have any other, you know, closing statements around where you guys want to move in terms of a company and what your mission statement is moving forward, and also just any closing remarks you might have.
So what we see, and this is kind of exciting for us, is also, like I said, that the market is changing a lot. We have to find also our strategy in this, and we see that this combination, and you said it, copy paste one, that customers are looking for more and more easier solutions. But on the other side, there are two groups. One group is saying, I want to have a locked workflow. Other ones want to have an open workflow. And our sweet spot is right in between. Right in between means every unit, every material you can buy, you can use on our solutions. So if you, for example, take the CS Plus, the queuing unit, washing unit, whatever, our profiles are stored in this. But you can always use these for other materials as well. Same with our materials. It's running on our workflow, but you can use it on an Aziga, Rapid Shape, Lux Creo, whatever printer you can name, let's say it like this. So it's exactly what we want to do. We want to provide solutions or materials, units for every customer and every solution. And on the other side, what we see is that it's not only coming to materials, units, etc. It's also what's after that, so after sales. And this is also something where we can benefit, since we are developing materials, we are developing units, producing now printers, light queuing units, etc. So we really know what the most important thing is. And we also train our technicians so that they can really help. And this is how we see our role in this is, if you have a problem, whatever it is, you can give us a call. We have trained technicians, we have process engineers who can say, send me your STL file, I will have a look on it. Why does it not print? Has it to do with supporting? Do you need some help to find the important things about exactly? And that's something where we in the direction we are drifting in.
Yeah, that's huge. That's absolutely, I mean, you know, like that's the type of thing that can really give a business, like a clinic or a lab, confidence to adopt things like that, right? So
Exactly.
I mean, and I love that. It's like, you know, I totally agree. Like I come from definitely the more open source, more hacker side of things. But then the more I work with business clients, you know, the more my experience has moved in the direction of working with dental clinics and labs, mostly dental clinics. It's like on the dental clinic side, it needs to be just as easy as possible, which means reining it in and not having all the options. You know what I mean? So somewhere, like you said, in the middle is such a sweet spot where it feels like it's closed in a reigned way. But if you need to be nerdy about it and go wherever you need to go, it's also available. So there's a few companies now that we love for that reason, for sure. So.
Thank you.
Well, David, it was really a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope we really look forward to continuing to work with you guys and help put your equipment in front of people when it's going to do them the most good and add the most value.
Thank you very much, Mike. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, aloha. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.